this table here, and we're going to have you just share a noticing. So we'll just have individuals share noticings. And we'll just start here and go, just zigzag around the room.
Okay, I noticed the use of the writer's notebook where there were things in there that they could go back and look at.
Okay, good.
And I noticed that the goal was clearly stated, the learning goal was clearly stated for the kids, so they knew what they were going to be working on.
Lisa?
I noticed that the annotations you had the students do were really explicit and provided a really great tool for them to refer back to independently.
I noticed your class really knows their routines and they followed your routines very clearly.
Tracy?
And mine goes along with that in that there's a lot of content there, but it's very organized. And I also, the wonderful way you have with your students, I enjoyed listening to and teaching.
I noticed that your lesson was very organized and very detailed.
I noticed that your examples were more in depth than what Mesa gave you. Sorry.
I noticed your repetitions of the 4 elements that you wanted in the gesturing you used with it.
I noticed the gradual release, you modeled first, and then it was their turn after that, and I could tell they knew they were ready. They were ready for that part.
I noticed that there was a lot of activity. There wasn't anybody particularly like completely off task. Some of them got up and down and they were comfortable with moving and kind of meeting their needs without having to disturb a bunch of people. That was impressive.
I noticed there was a nice mix of visuals and discussion, your what's the word I'm looking for? Your teaching.
I noticed that you use a tree map.
I noticed how the students turned and talked and felt comfortable doing that, and then the procedure for coming back, and they got quiet.
Thank you. So now what we're going to do, and we're just going to open it up, and we can go until whenever we need to with this. Share a noticing with a wondering. It can be a same noticing. It can be a different one with wondering.
I noticed that all the students were engaged with you, and I was wondering if that's an everyday experience, that they were all on task.
No, I mean, there was, I think, 8 or 9 other adults in the room, we had to talk about it before, but it's, it's a constant battle. It is. It doesn't look like that always, but just recently, Sherry teaches right next door to me, and we were brainstorming, ways to bring kids back, and she actually taught me the 3-2-1, and that's been working out well. A quick way they can close out their conversations, but then when they get to the 0, it's time to stop. And so we work on it all the time, but we're getting there. Lots of reminders, but.
Thank you. So another wondering?
So I noticed that the examples you gave to the kids were real exemplars, what we want the kids to strive for. But then because of that, they're lengthier,
Sure.
which led to a longer mini lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have changed things if you were to do it again to meet that time frame, or would you have gone with the depth that you chose to go with?
We were just kind of talking about that too on the side. The kids produced great intros. They really did. It was really cool to see, and they were mimicking some of those things. And so, yes, it took a little extra time, but sometimes, as this book states too, sometimes a really good lesson is not mini. Sometimes it has to take a little longer, and not every day's like that. They're they wrote their second paragraph. They've been writing their second paragraph for the last 2 days, and it's been a little more quicker and streamlined, but excuse me. But I think sometimes sacrificing the time is worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that goes back to Jenny's statement that there were opportunities for students to be actively engaged in what was going on. So I think when you think about, a true mini lesson. It's, just you, but then you moved it to really guided practice.
Yeah, and I did.
So within graduate release,
Yeah.
We were gonna, the second paragraph was supposed to be guided, and the third paragraph was gonna be collaborative, but that's when I was like, okay, we're gonna cut it off, it's just, so we did kind of a guided collaborative with the second paragraph, and they were good to go after that. Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
when you know, you know.
Yeah.
and
Yep,
That's, you were reading your kids.
yeah,
So-
absolutely.
That's what we're supposed to do.
well, and,
Yeah.
I think also Catherine's story is, she has been moving around in the system. So, going from 7th grade?
Sixth grade, yeah.
Sixth
Yeah.
grade to kindergarten
Yeah,
to
now fourth grade.
fourth.
Yeah,
And so this is, your first year with the curriculum, and you know how when you teach something, you adapt it the next time you do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yes.
I noticed that both of your examples started with a question. Was that intentional?
Yeah, it was just, I think I had seen the idea in Mesa, and, I've taught kind of starting that way before when I taught sixth grade language arts, and it seemed to just be a really effective way to start, and and not all the kids chose to start that way. It was just, one example that they witnessed in my writing, but some started with kind of a bold statement instead, which is an idea I would maybe use for the next time. Just give them some more options for starting, as we usually do with narrative or, informational, really with any type of writing. So, but it was just kind of, to me, the most kind of convincing or persuasive way to start. But some kids took it and ran with other ideas.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you, when the kids went to do their writing, did they plan out their first paragraphs, or did they just begin writing?
Yeah, they use their tree map. What was kind of cut off there is at the end I showed them how they can use their tree map, what they've already established their claim and the reasons on their tree map. So I showed them how to use that to then start writing their introduction. So they used what they already had produced the day before to write their paragraph during that time.
And then
Yeah.
did they write their infos that day?
They did. That was the task for that independent work time. Yeah.
I'm wondering how much exploration before that did you do? You had your pieces prepared. What led up to that? Maybe a couple lessons before.
Kind of what was done prior to that, basically, like what did we?
Did you use
Yeah.
examples in Mesa?
I did not. No, I felt that the introduction of the Mesa example was pretty bare bones, and that's when I decided to write my own. And I usually write my own anyway, but just looking at that text, I just knew it was very kind of just, here's how I feel, and this is why, and this is why, and this is why, and we're done. So I needed to add more to that to make it more effective. So prior to that, I showed the kids how, I created a tree map with the letter about being nice. And so I was using my brainstorming, my ideas for the planning process, for that pre-writing process as well. And then yesterday and today, as we've been writing the second paragraph, over the weekend, I finished writing one whole letter. And so now they have that example in front of them. But we also did pull out the Mesa example too, because I felt that the body paragraphs were more well-written than the introduction. So we're just using lots and lots and lots of different examples, yeah.
But I think really, you're going back to your roots, which did you use Lucy?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
think Lucy really talks about writing with your students and the power of that.
Yeah.
Plus, your topics were topics that fourth graders can relate to.
Sure.
They can engage both. So other wonderings, other noticings with wonderings?
I just have one I didn't think of that day. I noticed how you referred to different things. I wondered, did you go back and put that on a chart, like an anchor chart for them? Like the 4 things to include in the introduction?
We, they had a little chart in their writer's notebook.
Okay.
That they glued in, I think earlier that day, so that's what they use.
Okay.
To refer back to what are the parts of a paragraph. But I also keep, because you could get crazy with charts and just have them all over your room, but
Yeah.
I really just have one chart in my room for persuasive writing, and it's, we keep adding to it every day, you know, I forget the title of it now, the effective writing strategies for persuasive writing. And so we just keep adding to that list as I teach each new lesson, and that's really the one kind of running
Yeah.
chart
Okay.
in the room. But other little helpful charts for the kids, they glue into their writer's notebook, so they have it with them always.
You know, we appreciate this. We appreciate you risking, and we appreciate Jenny
Yeah.
taking the first jump and then knowing
Yeah.
you, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked
thank
out.
you.
Yeah.
So. And, do we want to do that one? Yeah. Yeah, there you go.